During the time that the Logan and Forrester families were filing in and took their places at the polished table, tension was building up in the boardroom of Forrester Creations, which was both comfortable and expansive. The gathering that would take place today would go well beyond the typical routine. It would put loyalties to the test, reveal covered objectives, and put family relationships to the test. With his usual calm and commanding demeanor, Ridge Forrester occupied the position of leader at the table. His keen eyes landed on Brooke Logan, his wife, who was seated across from him, exuding the unique combination of sophistication and determination that is her trademark. She was accompanied by her daughter, Hope Logan, who appeared to be as resolute as she had always been. On the other side of the room, Eric Forrester, the patriarch of the family, looked over his children and grandkids with a watchful eye. He was aware of the responsibility of maintaining the cohesiveness of the family, as well as the business. Ridge drew a big breath and said, "Thank you all for being here." Just as the audience fell into complete quiet, Ridge began his speech. "You are aware that the long-term prospects of Forrester Creations have been the subject of intense debate in recent times. We need to determine whether our vision is in line with the expectations of the market, or whether we require an altogether new course of action, given the changes that are occurring in the fashion business." Thomas Forrester intervened. "Let's be clear." With a voice that was self-assured and authoritative, Forrester Creations has always led, not followed. Rather than following trends, we have always been the ones to create them. What is the point of fixing something that isn't broken? In her chair, Hope, who was seated close to her mother, straightened her back. "As much as I appreciate you, Thomas, this is not just about following the latest trends. In today's market, consumers have higher expectations of businesses, including transparency, inclusion, and accountability. Should we fail to progress, we run the risk of becoming irrelevant." By leaning forward, Brooke maintained a resolute expression. "Hope is the perfect word. The world is undergoing transformation, and the fashion industry is at the vanguard of this trend. Forrester Creations has the potential to be a leader in a variety of fields in addition to design, if we are able to lead in values." Thomas laughed, his annoyance building up to the point where it was visible. "The values? Since what point in time did Forrester Creations transform into a social movement? We are not here to take political stances. Rather, we are here to make beautiful clothes." Carter Walton, the legal counsel and now a bold voice within the company, took the floor before Ridge could begin. Ridge raised his hand to maintain order, but before he could speak, Carter Walton took the floor. "Thomas, this have nothing to do with politics. Connecting with other individuals is the focus here. The world that we live in should be taken into consideration when making decisions. Considering that we are able to create stunning garments while simultaneously embracing diversity and sustainability, why shouldn't we? Because we have an image to uphold," Steffi Forrester remarked, maintaining a steady and subdued tone of voice. "Under no circumstances are we a fast fashion brand that modifies its philosophy in response to each new fashion movement. Since Forrester Creations is a luxury brand, exclusivity is synonymous with luxury. We will be putting the brand at risk if we give in to their proposal." After being silent throughout the heated debate, Eric eventually broke his silence and spoke up. "It is true that you have a point, Steffi. Additionally, Carter, Brooke, and Hope all present compelling arguments. Considering that the entire world is watching, it is undeniable that luxury businesses need to progress. The question that raises itself is, how much change is too much?" The look of determination could be seen in Brooke's eyes. "Eric, we are not discussing the possibility of compromising the quality or status of the brand. What we are discussing is broadening its scope and enlarging its core. Why is it that Forrester Creations is unable to be a leader in both the luxury industry and the social responsibility industry?" As her comments lingered in the air, the room fell into complete silence. Steffi narrowed her brows as she experienced the rekindling of the long-standing competition with Brooke. "Brooke, it is only natural that you would see things that way. It is the Forrester family that is the focus of Forrester Creations. It is our inheritance. Having a conversation about changes that do not pose a threat to the history of your family is not difficult for you." Suddenly, Brooke's eyes became frigid. Steffi, let's be careful not to take this personally. I have the same level of concern for this firm as any other Forrester. I want each and every one of us to be successful. With a wordless expression of support, Hope reached out and grabbed her mother's hand. Following that, she spoke to Steffi. When it comes to Forrester Creations, we are all here because we want the best for the company. But I believe that it is time for us to acknowledge that the world is progressing and that we should do the same. It is not about deleting history. Rather, it is about writing a new chapter in what has happened. Thomas's voice was in a chilly and abrupt manner, and he crossed his arms. And how would you recommend that we go about doing that, Hope? Through the establishment of Forrester as a charitable organization. The reason for this is that I do not believe that the heritage of the Forrester family is something that can be repurposed for your inclusive agenda. Hope did not seem to flinch as she met his eyes. I would like to propose that we broaden our perspective, Thomas. Too much time has passed since Forrester became exclusive. The time has come for us to make room for others, for individuals who do not often consider themselves as being associated with premium brands. Steffi retorted, that sounds like watering down the brand, and she was right. The voice of Carter resounded, unwavering and unmistakable. Or it sounds like it's progressing. We are not discussing the possibility of reducing our standards. Rather, we are discussing options to raise them. Think about what it would mean if Forrester Creations were to become the industry leader in environmentally responsible luxury. The pioneers would be us. Taking a look around, Eric's demeanor was one of thoughtfulness. As pioneers, we have always taken great satisfaction in our accomplishments. Maybe Carter is making a valid point. Ridge leaned forward, demonstrating that he had been paying close attention. This is not only about what is happening right now, it is about ensuring the survival of the organization in the years to come. We should at least give some thought to the possibility of honoring our legacy while also adjusting to new values if we are able to discover a method to do so. The Forrester name is significant to each and every one of us. As everyone in the room pondered Ridge's statements, the atmosphere in the room became strained and silent. It felt like a turning moment, since this was the closest he had ever come to accepting the idea that Hope, Brooke, and Carter had proposed. Yet unanticipatedly, Donna Logan raised her voice, her tone gentle but exuding self-assurance. Despite the fact that I am neither a designer or an executive, I am aware of one thing. Forrester Creations has always been about family, and family is about supporting each other's aspirations. There is more to this than just clothing. The purpose of this endeavor is to demonstrate to the world that the Forrester family represents something that goes beyond mere glamour. The look on Steffi's face conveyed her irritation. Donna, we already have a cause that we are fighting for. Quality and status are essential to who we are. If we transform this business into a brand that makes people feel good, we run the risk of losing all that constitutes our uniqueness. Clearly exhausted by the constant back and forth, Hope let out a groan. Possibly, the impact that we have is what sets us apart from other companies, rather than the garments that we design. There is a platform available to us, and people appreciate our voice. Let's work with it. The expression on Thomas's face became more stern as his face darkened. You and your mother are interested in using Forrester Creations to demonstrate a point. You are not concerned about the damage that will be done to the Forrester name. Despite the fact that you are not a Forrester by blood, Hope, there are moments when you feel as though you do not comprehend the true significance of this organization. Hope's face turned pale, and a glimmer of pain could be seen in her eyes. Still, she did not back down. Possibly, Thomas, that is the case. However, I feel the same way about this as you do about it. Additionally, I will not allow this organization to fall behind because we are too resistant to change. I will not stand by and let it happen. The discussion resulted in a sour silence that followed in its aftermath. In response to the emotional toll that Hope was experiencing, Brooke glared at Thomas. You weren't required to do that, Thomas. Since Hope has been a dedicated employee of this organization for many years, she is deserving of having her voice heard. Carter attempted to redirect the conversation back to its intended course by clearing his throat. Listen, the reason that each of us is here is because we are proud of Forrester Creations. We need to set aside our differences of opinion and concentrate on the opportunity that is in front of us. Either we can remain comfortable and run the risk of being out of date, or we can take the initiative to usher in a new era. Gradually, Eric gave a nod. That is correct, Carter. This is not merely a decision for the present moment. It is a choice that will greatly impact the future of this organization. Ridge let out a hearty exhalation as the pressure of the moment exerted itself on him. If this is the case, then perhaps it is time for us to begin investigating what this future holds. In order to create the kind of inclusive and sustainable brand that we have in mind, we will require a team that is solely devoted to producing proposals and strategies. Additionally, we will need to exhibit a willingness to make concessions. After looking around the room, he eventually focused his attention on Brooke, Steffi, Hope, and Thomas in that order. It is imperative that we do not lose sight of what that makes Forrester Creations unique. Having said that, we cannot disregard the possibility of expansion either. Everyone's commitment is required if we are going to be successful in this endeavor. The expression on Steffi's face was guarded as she crossed her arms. That's fine. I'll collaborate with Hope and Carter on this. But let me make it perfectly clear, I'm not going to sacrifice Forrester's legacy in order to achieve a quick victory. A simple, appreciative smile appeared on Hope's face. It is my pleasure, Steffi. I have faith that if we collaborate, we will be able to strike a balance that is respectful of the past while also welcoming the future. Ridge received a smile from Brooke, whose pride was obvious. It is my pleasure, Ridge. This implies a great deal, not only for the business, but also for the rest of the family. After the room had been cleared out, alliances appeared to be uncertain but promising. It had been determined that the first steps had been taken toward reimagining Forrester Creations as a company that could lead in both style and substance. When everyone left the room, they were all aware that this new vision would put them to the test and push them to confront their own desires and affiliations. And despite the fact that tensions continued to exist, there was a prevailing stream of excitement that ran through all of them, sparking anticipation for what was to come.